I've been I've been I've been okay.
All right.
I don't want to put a name to it. Sometimes you can't put a name to it,
Exactly.
and that's not a bad thing. It's a new place for me.
Exactly.
It's always a new place, depending on how you see it.
Yeah.
So, how have you been?
Well, so beautiful question. I've been in contemplation, uh, like contemplating the graces of the year 2022, the lessons, resilience, the pain, the gain, and also what we could say the vein, all that, reflecting on all those things to digest, to take the time to digest all the lessons first before being sure of entering a new year, basically.
You pretty wrapped up, summed up what I was going to say. Like I was, I don't know how to put it because it's all,
Exactly.
you know, and 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 going over those things, not because, well, this time of the year forces you to reflect,
Yeah.
memories, and people create memories during the holy days. So
Exactly.
there's also a lot of depression around this time because it brings back memories of people that aren't around at this time.
Exactly.
So a lot of people deal with depression during this time.
Yeah.
um Myself, I wasn't raised celebrating these holy days, holidays.
Yeah,
I
exactly. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you come from a Muslim house.
yes.
It's very strict.
So it was a different perspective at home. It was a time, that nobody was working, everybody was home. We had
Exactly.
all day to get along or not get along, or also those, those times. My mother also reflected on what this purpose was, or what the holiday, what was the true meaning. These was the lessons I got at home, but also it was stuff on TV like the Christmas Story.
Okay.
We were home all day, so we were allowed to watch TV. So those memories never talked about a religious aspect. It talked about a family aspect of
Yeah.
getting together, and celebrating life and happiness and the sorrows and the joys.
Exactly.
And that's how I see the holidays, regardless of the religious meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And that's not for me to agree, or I don't. I don't. However, somebody choose to get the peace. I'm never in the way of peace.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. But
yeah.
no, that's very deep. What you just said is very, very deep.
Mhm.
Um, because at certain times we get lost into, how can I say, the monotonous aspect of holidays. We celebrate because we must celebrate, or because everyone is celebrating. So
Mhm.
it's keeping up with the Joneses, basically, without any kind of deeper meaning.
Well,
Um,
yes, I agree. Like, also, I'm sorry.
no, please, please, please.
Oh, so a lot of people may hear me say I never celebrated, and as a child, I also have memories of adults
Okay.
uh persecuting me for that.
Okay.
Not my, immediate adults in my life, but those that, like, teachers or neighborhood people, would persecute me. This innocent, I'm innocent. This is what I learned at home. Just like you learn what you learned at home.
Exactly.
You're persecuting my my foundation,
Yeah.
telling me, don't you worry. I don't care what your mother say. Santa's gonna put some under your tree. And why? And at this time, if you ain't got a tree, it'll be in your house. You'll have a gift.
Yeah.
That's evil not to give no children no gift and blah 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 blah. But we got things all year long, But and then so many adults said this to me, and I was as a child, you learn to trust adults, right? So
Exactly.
it was times where was one time where the teacher was like, here, she gave me a little small Christmas tree. She said, you take this Christmas tree and you hide it and you light it, and Santa's going to put a gift under your tree. And then I'm watching the news a little bit with my mom, and then the news said that we just spotted Santa Claus over the Philadelphia Bridge. So again, it's another confirmation that Santa's really coming in my house, even
Yeah.
though my mom has said he don't exist. Ain't no white man coming in the chimney. We ain't even got a chimney,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'll buy the gifts. I pay the bills. So, but she said that, but every other adult that I'm supposed to trust or around, is telling me that, Santa coming. So I hurried up and went to sleep because the newsman said, go to sleep because you're not going to get a gift if you're up, right? So
Yeah.
I went to sleep with my Christmas tree, my little Christmas tree, plugged up in the window so my mom couldn't see it behind the curtain. Right, that was dangerous.
Okay.
But anyway, so,
Beautiful,
uh,
beautiful story.
but
Thank you for
yeah,
sharing.
so I woke up in the morning with nothing. I looked under my bed. I looked in the closet. I went downstairs. I looked in the cabinets and the closets through the house. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. So
Yeah.
the lesson for me at that time, and I was upset at these adults. I thought that was a definition of evil.
Exactly.
For, for you took away what my foundation, my parents gave me, and made me believe, you know. But it
Yeah.
taught me to also all of those things that they were teaching about in a religious ways and Santa Claus ways. I knew from a child that they all was just lies. And what was the purpose of feeding these lies to children?
Very true.
Innocent souls.
Innocent souls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. That's very deep, deep, deep thoughts, deep thinking. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I think at a certain point, you know, every child has his period of fantasy and dream, at least daydreaming, kind of manifesting vortex of his imagination. That's why we have imaginary friends when we were little and so on. And after a while, if the environment is too contrary to the blooming of that light, the child loses that spark. So maybe the geniuses that we know of are like the ones who have the few select ones who discovered the secret to keep the spark, awakened throughout their lives. That that spark of curiosity, magic,
Absolutely.
amazement. Yeah,
I for myself, that was my solace. That was my Christmas. Christmas was every day for me
exactly.
because I I went through a lot of depression as a child. I did. I had a lot of trauma as a child. Even though people see the actual, like the outside, like I had a conscious family, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So, but it's still everybody experienced trauma. Every child, every adult, that's all we have in common.
of
So,
course.
so that's the one thing we have in common. So we have to take that and grow from it. But as a child, my happy place was the imagination. I would act like I was on stage and be in my
Exactly.
room, have the whole stage in my room,
Exactly.
writing,
Exactly.
dancing, singing. And then it became where I was the person in the community center that would tap into the children's imagination,
Okay.
and so I had the whole neighborhood coming to the community center doing plays. We I wrote plays as a child. I had the whole neighborhood doing dance numbers, and we had days where the college would let us use their stage, and people come in and pay all that. I did all that as a child, because it kept me safe. And I got to express myself, and nobody ever knew. Well, people that were close, but people didn't know, like, how are you going through all this?
Yeah.
And but you on the stage and you doing this and you got everybody else. But that was where I felt safe away from the war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that is the how can I say, the shadow of imagination. The all powerful imagination that I don't know. I don't know if you agree with this, that is actually the meaning of the secret. The power of imagination, and through imagination, visualization of our best outcomes or our best selves, or a better state of affairs.
I learned as a child, the mind was a powerful thing. Like I
Exactly.
was always around with my mother. She had friends, or my father friends when he was around. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
had conscious friends, so I didn't hear conversations about I don't know. All the adult conversations that I was around were uplifting conversations.
Exactly.
So the power of the mind, and I used to see them put things together, but the power of the mind is what I used to hear them say: whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. So when I wanted to play ball with the boys, I didn't want to play dolls all the time. I wanted to kick like the boys. So I imagined, and I would look at their leg and how they did that or whatever.
Okay.
And then I put it in my mind, and it would happen just how I did. Now, the moment that I doubted myself, like if I was playing on the monkey bars, in the jungle gym, whatever,
Yeah.
that I thought I was going to fall, I did.
Okay.
So I heard adults they sparked that idea in me. And I was like, wow, the power. So let me just think, this is what I'm going to do. And I did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It come in baby steps and then it grows.
Exactly. Exactly. But so, Lady Fatima, wait, I was wondering to know, because you're super creative being in person. You write, you're a great poetess, you're a FemCee, you're a graphic designer. I think you design also clothes. So
Yeah.
how do you find your balance in all those skills, all this abundance of skills?
I think the balance is them all. Like you can't separate one from another. Because some people be like, what do you do? Because they'll know me for maybe writing or one thing or whatever. But how can you separate a person? Like if I love clothing, and I'm not a small woman, and some of the clothes that wasn't complimentary to me. I don't want to show everything.
Yeah.
So as a child, I was around women that made clothes. So all I had to do was watch them and see how they did it and ask them questions. So I learned how to make clothes. So that's a part of me. It's a part of my artistry. It's a part of my imagination. Me writing is a part of my imagination. That's how I got out my anger or my sadness. And it's a part of me. Painting, I started painting later on in life when I was homeless. I found a box of paints and canvases, and when I was homeless with my children, and I had to keep my mind straight to be straight for everybody else. And it was
Wow.
soothing to me.
Exactly.
And when I was done, I was like, I did that. I didn't even know I could do that. So it was a part of me. Every part of my artistry is a part of me. So that is the balance, if that makes sense.
Exactly. No, it makes sense. It makes perfect
Mm.
sense.
Sometimes the balance of my artistry in the so-called real world it be the battle. Like, no matter what I do, I
Yeah.
put me into it. So I may have to learn a skill, like going to work. You learn the skill that you have to complete at work, right? But
Exactly.
I learn what it is, and now with some rules. See, art don't have no rules. You create the
No
rules in
rules,
art,
just pure expression.
right? So at work, you're limiting your self expression because you have to follow certain rules. You understand me?
Oh yeah, perfectly.
So I learn the skill, because I have to survive. We have to work and stuff. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I learn the skills, and then I always bring me into it. I have to. I can't
Yeah.
leave me alone. I can't leave me out of nothing. It's not going to be a New Year, happy day, holiday every day if not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is also the balance. You just always got to bring you into it.
Oh yeah, you have to imply and engage yourself. You have to
Yeah.
commit to a certain discipline.
Hmm.
Uh, Sometimes, regardless of how you feel, you have to still do it. And in good days, celebrate and magnify, and in bad days, reflect and ponder or measure, um, measure your engagement somehow.
All right. So I have a question for you. Right.
Please, please.
All right. So I wrote the poem
Yeah,
in French. And when I was writing the words, like I recognize French by reading it, if that makes sense.
exactly.
Um, because it's a lot like Spanish, and then French is in English as well.
Exactly, but they're cousins.
They're cousins. So listen, so like when I see the word for moon, like another word for moon in English would be lunar.
Exactly.
So I know it just from linguistic sakes to look and see French. I
Exactly,
understand
but you're a linguist, so you do associations and correspondences.
that's from coming into that's from growing up around different languages. Like in my home,
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
yes. So I may not. Okay, so my question is, I wrote it in French.
Okay.
How did it come across to you?
Honestly, I was astounded by the master of the language. I didn't know that you mastered that language as well. You know, I don't know how you did it, but are you a francophone? Vous parlez français? you know? I
I
was very astounded. I was like, okay, so basically she's a francophone, you know. It was very beautiful, and also in English, it was for me. I actually prefer the English version.
do.
But I really admire the French one
Hmm.
because in English it has some more depth. I feel to it than in French. In French, I mean, I'm a humanist, and how can I say, I specialize in literature, romantic literature of
Hmm.
19th century. So I kind of know a bit, about style of genres and everything. So that was what I did before waking up to the real world in a way. So I found it very beautiful and gothic, a bit kind of uh, like, yeah, 19th century gothic Londonian literature, but
So you was
at the
like a
same time, yeah, with some kind of inspired mystical background, So
mhm.
I felt all those influences there.
I you had said something about Shakespearean when you read.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
So to me, I I was to me as a child, I liked Shakespeare's rights
Okay.
because it was it was on the surface and it was many surfaces.
Yeah,
It was
the depths of understanding.
yes. And even though it is in a English tongue that you read it, it isn't at the same time.
Yeah,
It is in a foreign language that you have to take apart, if that makes sense.
it make perfect sense.
And it's a language for everyone to understand,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So when in that poem I was writing about the moon and the sun and equating a woman to the light of the moon and he recognized her light, different things.
yeah,
Now that's what everyone knows what the moon is to them and what the sun is to them.
yeah.
So it could be different levels of what the sun represents to you when you're reading it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the power of subjectivity also,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, I was always amazed that as a wordsmith, you get to create worlds, and um a poem is maybe like 4 minutes. It's a breach into the daily life, like whenever I mean let's say, corresponding to your sensibility or your poetic affinities. Like a great poem of a great poet or poetess is
Mm-hmm.
like, a breath of fresh air in the hustle and bustle of days, because it's a concentrated of pure expression, and you don't know like how many sleepless nights, um stress, overcoming of self, overcoming
Right.
of doubt, and making it happen. So in like a sonnet, you have maybe 30 days of struggle that made some beautiful result, you know?
Right. Because
Exactly.
it's always about that. It's always that's why I utilize the sun and the moon. You
Exactly.
know, because sometimes night can be just darkness, but it also can be a relaxing time.
Yeah.
And we all have, and the sun can scorch you too.
Oh,
Doesn't all
yes.
sunny days don't also have to be. So it's all a balance, and everyone can relate to things that um are in the nature of what you were just speaking of. Who
Yeah.
hasn't faced stress? Who hasn't faced sadness?
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a human condition, I was talking to a great friend yesterday, and we are discussing about Siddhartha, the book of Hermann Hesse. about, one's journey into discovering the multi layers of self, the multi layers of, reality, and how you kind of navigate to find your truth and to be also in accordance to the truth, and she was telling me something like, uh that nowadays we are scared to feel, and back in, for example, in the days of Siddhartha, which is the future Buddha, in his on his journey to awakening of
Right.
self,
Hmm.
and like self-realization, goal realization, etc., the Buddha consciousness, etc. um he first was a prince of a very high level royalty background.
Right.
So yeah, so exactly, she was like, if like the mission of Buddha was to eliminate all suffering in
Hmm.
the human being, his mission was very noble, but it's not because he was not efficient that it didn't work. It was because suffering is inevitable in the human experience. However, well grown it is, filled with all kind of worldly pleasures, power, riches, glam and glitz, and whatever. Like, regardless of the station you're in life, you understand that suffering is inevitable. So,
I
what do you
agree.
think of that, as like, knowing that you're also a very elevated mind and being, you're the alien FemCee, the genius
Thank you.
from outer space. What do you think of
Yes.
all that?
Well, I am Buddha, like you said the other day,
Yeah,
and I was like, we put up, and I was reading your post. I
exactly.
said, you are Buddha. I am Buddha. You
Yeah,
are Buddha.
we are Buddha.
We are
Exactly.
Buddha.
Exactly.
And uh, I feel those that are in that enlightened state have to go through a harsh darkness.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if the man was rich. He knew his spirit was richer than that supposed wealth.
Exactly. Exactly. And also knowing the nature of Maya, as they say in, in Hindu philosophy or creed. The Maya is like the matrix. It's the illusion world that blinds our senses, our five senses, which are constantly under duress of wanting. Like, we want to taste, we want to eat, we want to drink, we want to reproduce, we want to have actually the physical sensation beyond the simple fact that we're reproducing. We like to touch, we like to feel the touch, we exactly, and as a social measure, the hug as a symbolical figure of, touching as bonding. You know, the five senses are
All of
always,
it is
yeah,
all of it is that's why you said your friend was saying that we are afraid to feel.
exactly,
So we have been conditioned on to the only the physical feel.
yeah,
But
exactly,
everything is a feeling. Even hearing is a feeling.
yeah,
Because you wouldn't be able to hear if you didn't feel it. Deaf people can hear, they feel the vibration.
yeah, exactly. But exactly, it's like you're here in silence, in words of silence,
Silence is hearing too, because how do you explain your thoughts? It's feeling.
feeling.
So we're on a stuck on the physical side of feeling because some things have touched our higher self,
Yeah,
the feeling. And so a lot of us are traumatized by things of the past. So we're stuck in that feeling
exactly.
and try to equate it with physical things. Like that's where we fall into the addiction of feelings. Like
Exactly, but we have been programmed to be kind of subdued to our earthly desires, needs,
and so when
craving.
you and there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you understand that it's a higher consciousness to that. So when we
Of
go back
course.
to when we was talking, sorry, we talk about being the children in the imagination. So if you need a earthly physical feeling of wealth, then you'll attract money.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're feeling, sometimes people are afraid of wealth, so you don't attract that feeling. That's why when people have a lot of money, they emote with this feeling. They're excited. It's a
Yeah.
feeling.
Exactly. But it's a feeling, and I just wanted to make like a bracket, like in Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. In that kind of mind frame, it's you act the part, and the part is given to you.
Right.
Uh, and basically that's the game of money, of wealth, of the currency, like
The
currency.
currency, the frequency.
Exactly.
So when we know that we are wealth, like we have a lot of the sayings and people that we are melanated beings, we are this, we are gods, we are kings, we are queens, we are spiritual beings.
Yeah,
But also we can have a feeling of greed, so you get greedy people surrounding you. You're attracting that frequency.
exactly.
You
Exactly.
know,
But sometimes it might, Lady Fatima, be unconscious. It's on the subconscious level.
because being attached to the physical,
Yeah,
when to the physical feelings, so you're gonna attract that when you don't step really. A lot of people give spirituality a definition, and if you think about the word definition, it's a limitation.
oh yeah. Oh, you're so bright. Yeah, exactly.
So
um
there,
it's
yes.
it's exactly, it's as Oscar Wilde used to say that when you explain, you subtract from the mystery,
Right.
like, exactly. So definition is a narrowing down to the least of complexities,
You
basically.
are limiting yourself. You say you're
Exactly.
one with the all,
Yeah,
and the all is one with you. How is there a limit? Why would you give yourself a title? Why would you limit yourself in the spirit? How are you going to
exactly.
limit spirit? You can't even weigh spirit.
No, spirit
So
is
that's
endless,
attached.
infinite.
Yes. So
Exactly.
you have to attach yourself from the physical of a spirit to graduate. You already graduated. Your spirit is trying to get you there. But we are so,
Exactly.
like you said, subdued to the physical self. People don't understand that I can be. When I was homeless,
Yeah,
I didn't have the spirit of homelessness because and so when I would go to get different help or try to get some assistance, they thought I was lying
okay.
to try to get that some extra money or something because I took the time out in the day or before I get there to still look presentable or speak with confidence because I knew that this was a part of my life to get me to the next part of my life.
Exactly.
You mad because I don't want to be here and I see myself somewhere else? Excuse me?
No, but I would say that's the definition of a sick mind, because if we're really a unit, a whole, and there is no separation, as we're saying, no borders, The well-being and the well-feeling of Fatima is my well-being, and my well-being is Lady Fatima well-being, and so forth and so on. Our sisters, brothers, friends, you know, like the rebounds effect of our happiness is endless and unfathomable. But yet we want to keep ourselves down. So I don't know, we all vibrate on the lower frequency of despair, or I don't know. But
Even think like it just my opinion, and this is just where I am in life because I'm not I don't even have to do an explanation. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say.
yeah,
A lot of us are stuck into the division
in the
of woman, man,
yeah,
and some things have to be addressed. Black, white, and I'm not saying that things that don't have to be addressed. But when you can
exactly.
only see the negative of a situation,
Yeah.
whether it's for you or against you, and you can't see the positive, whether
Yeah.
it was for you
Lady
or
Fatima, I
against
don't want
you.
to cut you. There is 1 minute
Okay.
left.
All right.
Uh, so could you just, I mean, finish and we'll reconnect just after?
Yes. Or we could just hold it to the next. I will,
All right, perfect, 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 perfect. So let's reconnect.
all right. Do you have to send me another link?
No, it's the same link. It's the same link.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.